Hey guys, welcome back. It's time for Mad Max number 5. This one will be going a bit off the deep end, but I think it'll make for great entertainment. Like my last Mad Max car, we'll be shooting for an over-the-top look. In all my videos, I try to showcase some aspect of the hobby. In this video, it'll be blending, or at least that's what I call it. In modeling, it's called kit bashing. Essentially, we'll be taking a lot of cars and bashing them together using their different parts to make this one car. So let's get started. We're going to start with these two cars, the 57 Roadster and the Fright Bike. Two models I don't really care for alone, but when mixed together can make something fun. The first thing we'll need to do is drill out the rivets and take them apart. Since the next few steps can be a bit confusing without some context, I want to go ahead and show you what I'm trying to accomplish by blending these two cars. I want to use the big wheel on the back of the bike and turn it into the front wheel of my Mad Max dragster. So like I've done in past videos, I want to show the changes I've made to one part by contrasting those changes with an unchanged part. I find this to be a lot easier than trying to explain every move or videoing every change to the car. All the changes I've made are done with a vise, a file, and sometimes a hacksaw. All I'm doing is slowly removing material until one part joins to another part. For the Fright Bike, I removed material around the engine until the whole will fit onto the 57 Roadster's post. For the 57 Roadster body, I had to do some very light removal around the front to the hood so that it would sit flush with the Fright Bike. This process can take some time, but if you have a little bit of patience, you can join the two parts and make them look like they were supposed to go that way. The engine was simple, I just cut it off the front portion. And last, the basers needed to be trimmed back a small amount to allow for the new Fright Bike part. Once everything is going together, we can go ahead and take the time to remove the paint from the body of the 57 Roadster. Once the paint is off, you can set the body aside because we now need to start work on a new car, this Matchbox armored truck. The 57 Roadster is a convertible, so we need some protection for our driver and passengers. So we'll need to modify this armored truck for that purpose. So once again, we need to drill out the two rivets and take the truck apart. The first thing we'll need to do is to get rid of the two posts, as they'll just be in the way. Next, we'll need to shave some of the hood off to raise it up. And last, we'll need to widen the doors because they'll need to fit over the 57 Roadster. To bend the door out, I use jeweler's pliers as they have plastic tips that keep you from messing up the surface you're bending. Well, this only took seconds as far as this video is concerned. This actually took me about 45 minutes in the real world to get these two parts to join together in this very unholy matrimony. It took a lot of bend and test, file the sides of the Roadster and test, and then repeat everything over again. Eventually I got it on there. So go ahead and remove the paint from the armored car body so everything will match. Now the back of the armored car will need something to cover it up, so I'll use the engine from an old radio flyer car. It turns out that it fits almost perfectly and lends to the whole dragster look I'm going for. Okay, so here's where we are at this moment. The back of the car is mostly put together, so now we can focus on the front. Several people on Instagram who got to see a preview of this car as it was being made asked for some kind of guard and spikes on the front, so that's what we're going to make now. There are a lot of ways we could go about this, but for the sake of entertainment, and because I don't want to use toothpicks, we will forge the items we need. This will give us complete control of how big the guard is and how long and sharp the spikes are. Of course, I'm not expecting anyone to go out and purchase a complete blacksmithing setup. I make knives and other metal tools on the side. But if you did have this set up, making metal spikes would be simple and quick, and each spike would be unique. I'm using a 1/8 metal rod from Home Depot, but really I could use nails or any other iron object. I'm going to heat the end of the rod till it's red hot, and then, placing it on my anvil, I'll begin hammering it into the spike. To give a unique look, I will hammer the spike into a square rod instead of a round rod that it is now. I'm intentionally working to not get a symmetrical look. I want the spikes to look improvised, like the guy that made them just welded them together without worry of aesthetics. I'm going to make about 7 or 8 of these for the front of the car. Once I have the shape I want, I just use wire cutters to snip them off while they're red hot. For the main guard, and the part that the spikes will attach to, I'll use some thin bar stock and bend it with the pliers. I will then snip it off using the same set of pliers when the part is red hot. Once all the parts cool, we can go about gluing them to the front of the model. To do this, I'll use industrial strength super glue. This glue is really thick and is a gap-filling glue. I want the glue job to look messy. Once again, I want the guard and spikes to look added, something some post-apocalyptic engineer would make. Once the guard is attached, we can then go about adding the spikes. The spikes are added the same way. I apply a small amount of glue to the base of the spike and then attach it to the tire guard. After it sets, I come back and add more glue around the base to close any gaps. Here's what it looked like once the glue had cured. The large wheel still works and the spikes are high enough that they do not affect how the car travels. So now we have all the parts made up for this car. In part 2 of this video, we'll go about adding paint and effects to everything. I hope you've enjoyed this build so far. Look forward to seeing everyone in part 2, and as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.